bless your neighbor, Jesus invites you to listen. Listening to others is a way to bless others. Listening means paying attention to people's dreams and pain. Did you know that one of the essential acts of love is giving others your attention? Listening to someone is one of the most practical things we can do to bless them. In his book, Caring Enough to Hear and Be Heard, author David Ausberger says, being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person, they are almost indistinguishable. We all want to be heard. We tweet and blog, post on Instagram and Snapchat, and tell jokes for others to listen to. Listening carefully is a skill that takes a lifetime. People feel valued and loved when someone listens to them. Jesus listens to us and values us. We can bless and value people by listening carefully to their stories. By listening, we can discern where God is working in their lives. God has specifically placed us and gifted us with unique passions, interests, and experiences that help us relate to others. God places people in our lives so that we can build relationships with them. By listening carefully, we can point the way to Jesus. We make them feel valued and pray that they can understand that God values them too. But how can we do this effectively? Ask questions, be curious, and listen. We see Jesus' model, the power of asking questions to know people's hearts. Listening to others is a gift, and it requires giving your attention. There are 4 areas you can explore to get to know a person better and lead to a series of meaningful conversations. Their story. Tell me your story. Where did you grow up? Their heart. What are you passionate about? Their hobbies and likes. What's your favorite food? Or what do you like to do in your free time? Their experiences. What challenges have you or are you facing? Pay attention to the dreams and sufferings of the person. Look at the evidence of God's work in their life. Find ways to identify with their suffering. In the story of Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, Philip asked questions and listened and understood what God was doing in the eunuch's life. We have to follow Philip's example. After understanding where and how God is working in the lives of others, we can analyze how we can approach and identify with them. And we show interest in their dreams and their sufferings. By listening, we will know what to do and how to pray. Now let's look at some tips and best practices on how to listen carefully while having meaningful conversations with others. First, pay attention. Listening well requires patience. One of the goals of listening carefully and being an effective listener is to establish a comfortable tone that gives the person a chance to think and speak. Allow for breathing room before responding. Do not interrupt and don't try to finish their sentences. Pay attention to their body language as well as their mood when you're listening intently. Focus on the moment. Unfortunately, when we listen, many of us are too preoccupied with ourselves instead of concentrating on what is being said. We're busy deciding what to say in response or mentally rejecting the other person's point of view. In contrast, listening well requires concentration, and it means being attentive with both ears and listening to the other person until they finish speaking. It takes energy to block out the distractions that keep bombarding us and the many good chances we can have to interrupt. Everyone should be quick to listen and slow to speak. Second, listening well is an act of love. Just as our love for God begins with listening to His Word, the beginning of love for our neighbor is learning to listen to them. Listening well goes hand in hand with the mindset of Christ. It flows from a humble heart that considers others more important than ourselves. It looks not only after our own interests, but also after the interests of others. It is patient and kind. Poor listening puts the focus on us and it diminishes the other person, while good listening is more Christ-like and it lets them know that they are known and loved. Third, listening well asks perspective questions. Good questions can help us see beyond the superficial. This guidance is written at length throughout Proverbs. It is the fool who finds no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing his own opinion, and thus answers before listening. Though good advice lies deep within the heart, reads Proverbs 25, a person with understanding will draw it out. Listening well poses insightful, open-ended questions that don't give yes or no answers, but gently peel the onion and probe below the surface. Listening well can move our conversation from a transactional conversation to a transformational conversation. Fourth, listening well is doing ministry. There are many occasions when listening can be a greater service than speaking. There will be days when the most important ministry we do is square our shoulders with someone who is hurting, uncross our arms, lean forward, make eye contact, and listen to their pain. Sometimes releasing these emotions is all that is needed to resolve the issue. The speaker may not want or expect anything from us. Just listening and being present is all that they need at the moment. Many times, God simply wants to use us as a channel for His affirming love as we listen carefully with compassion and understanding. Fifth, do not judge. Listening attentively requires an open mind. As a listener, be open to new ideas, new perspectives, and possibilities. Listen to what they are going through and what they think, what they believe. If you can show that you can listen without judgment and fixing them, the opportunity to have a conversation of faith will open up for you. Let God guide you as to how to respond to situations and people. It's time to practice what we have discussed and learned. As we listen carefully, let us follow Philip's example. First, pay attention and be patient. Pay attention to God's little nudges and walk with those that God puts in your path. Listen to their dreams and their sufferings. Discover where God is acting in their life. Second, acknowledge the love you show by listening to someone. Watch your body language. Let them know that they matter. Third, be curious and ask questions beyond the surface. Asking perspective questions helps us better understand a person and often establishes and gains someone's trust. Fourth, listening well is doing ministry. Don't think you need to have the answers or solutions to someone's situation. Just be present. Listening to someone with compassion and understanding is often what the person needs at the moment. Fifth, do not judge. Sixth, pray. Begin and end with prayer. Continually pray to God for the people He has placed in your path. Pray for their situation, their dreams, their sufferings. Pray that you will have an opportunity to have more meaningful conversations with them. Have you taken the next step? If you haven't already done so, scan the QR code and sign up to be a CF Encourager. A CF Encourager is someone who commits to the Lord to having a series of meaningful conversations with the same person at least once a month for as long as it takes. The movement has begun. The time is now. Who will you rise up for? CF Encouragers are committed to living the vision, so sign up so we can lift you and your conversations up in prayer and provide you with resources and a community to support your lifestyle as a CF Encourager. Take the next step.